We got some absolutely stunning fish in this week at Pondlife Aquatics, and in this week's video we are going to be going through a full shop tour. Let's get into it. Hello and welcome back to another video. My name is Harris Bard for Pondlife Aquatics and Tropical Fish London, and in today's video, a shop tour. But before we get into the bulk of the video, I've been asking everyone a massive favor for the past few weeks. The Practical Fish Keeping Readers Poll for 2025 is open for voting now. So if you could do us a massive favor and vote for Pondlife Aquatics if you enjoy anything that we do here, and it would give us a massive lift. I'll talk more about that at the end of the video, but for now, on with the rest of the tour. Here at Pondlife Aquatics and Tropical Fish London, we do things ever so slightly different. We have our entire fish room ordered continent by continent, and the reason we do that is because we like to help educate people on where their fish are from in the world, and occasionally we have schools in and we find that ordering the fish this way is the best way of teaching them where their fish are from in the world and what habitats they are from. Enough with the spiel though. When you first walk in on the left hand side in our fish room, you are going to see our South American section. Specifically, in the beginning of the room, you are going to have our Livebearers. And this week, we moved out of the quarantine space some absolutely beautiful red-eye split-tail swordtail fish. They're swordtails with red eyes and split tails. It's a mouthful, but they are absolutely beautiful. We've got them alongside our panda swordtails and our green swords, and they're doing really, really nicely. I think the added dynamic of the split tail and the red eye already makes a interesting fish even more interesting. And they've been very, very popular since they've been moved across. Alongside other new Livebearers, we have our Sunburst Platies, which are in, again, with our panda platies. And these are just so full of color and vibrant. Amazing beginner fish. Live bearing species, so they give birth to live young, which is so interesting, particularly for young families who like to rear on those younger fish and get into the hobby for the first time. It adds a different dynamic for those kinds of people. Additionally, we have some absolutely beautiful guppies in stock alongside some less beautiful but necessary female guppies. And then, although not South American, they are North American, we still have our Pygmy Sunfish, which are, I won't gush about them again. They are one of my absolute favorite species of fish at the moment. They are absolutely beautiful. Further down in South America, you are going to find our smaller community fish. So we have a diverse range of tetras, whether that's neon tetra, cardinal tetra, diamond tetras, rummy nose tetras, rathbone tetras, some bentozis. We always have a variety of different South American tetras in because they are one of the most popular species. And realistically, having in a diversity of shoaling fish is always so visually appealing. And we're looking really beautifully stocked. But talking about shoaling fish, we also have a beautiful selection of Corydoras catfish. We have our pygmy corys, which I spoke on last week. But in terms of new things, we got in some really lovely pepper Corydoras. Peppers are one of those types of corys that are just the bread and butter of the industry. You're always going to find them in any fish store worth their salt. They're very, very common, but that doesn't take away from how beautiful the species are. Pretty much every Corydoras cat is a shoaling species of fish, and they are just so wonderful to keep. We also have some rarer species of cory cats, things like Similis and Incolicana catfish, and then more of our bread and butters like Sturbys and Julii Corydoras cats. Additionally, in this section, you're going to find some really stunning algae eaters. So we obviously have our bread and butters of things like Otocinclus catfish, which are a shoaling algae eater found in South America. We additionally have some larger species, things like Royal Farlowella, and red whiptail catfish, which are from the same family, but different species overall. We always have some really stunning L-cats in. Particularly at the moment, we have some really nice snowball L-cats, and our gold spotplex are always an absolute showstopper when you see them out and about. Additionally, when it comes to Ancestris, we always have things like white Ancestris, regulars, we have our Woobenmeisters, and then we also got in this week, but it's very hard to get some good footage of him, a broken line Panac. And he is absolutely stunning. He's in the next section that I'm going to be showing you guys, but we are really, really well stocked on different kinds of algae eaters and suckerfish and catfish in general. But before I move on from this section, we have some absolutely stunning Apistogrammas in this week. We got in 3 separate species, and we usually have a good variety of Apistos in, but this week we have a breeding pair of Borellii, which is always really nice when you order in Apistos. It's never a guarantee you're going to get a pair, although it's realistically the idea that you should. So these Borellii have come in absolutely beautifully. Additionally, we have our Sunburst Apistos, which I personally never kept. They are one of the more common Apistogramma species, and they have very similar temperaments and requirements to any other Apisto you're going to find. They love a densely planted aquarium, lots of hiding spaces, giving them adequate filtration, although not too flowy. And realistically, they should breed very readily in a well-maintained aquarium. They are one of those species that, if you are going to get into keeping them, very similar to Corydoras, once you get them breeding, they will very readily carry on. Additionally, we got in some Vachietas. I've been pronouncing it wrong for all these years, and I had someone come in and correct me, so thank you so much for that. But I just can't take my eyes off of these guys. I just keep watching them go round and round, chasing each other. We've definitely got at least a couple of pairs in there, a good selection of males and females, and hopefully we will have people come in and give them a good home. Flipping over to the other side of South America, this is typically where we have our semi-aggressive or larger species. So we have our hard water bred Discus, which we did sell a few of them this week, and we will be hopefully restocking next week. But these guys have really found their hierarchy again. For those of you who don't know, keeping Discus is a thing you should do in shoals. If you don't, they can often start to lose their color, they beat up on each other, and it can go quite badly. So thankfully, these guys found their hierarchy, and hopefully if we do sell any more this week, people will take the lot, as opposed to leaving us with only a couple, which could cause some potential issues. Aside from that, we also have our baby parrotfish, which is where we are keeping our broken line Panac at the moment. These guys are bred by us here at Pondlife Aquatics, and they are doing so well. They are just so vibrant and beautiful, and I didn't care for them all that much when we first had them on, but rearing them on and seeing them develop is really just such a treat. Additionally, next to them, this tank is just looking so happy at the moment. This is where we are keeping our selection of angelfish. And this week I filmed the first part of our Habistax review, which I was kindly traded by a friend of the channel and a personal friend, Brendan, who got in an additional Habistax when he was ordering them for me. And I am going to be doing a honest review of whether or not I think Habistax is worth it. And if I do, I will hopefully be able to stock them at some point in future. Habistax don't stock retail at the moment, but I would really absolutely love to. But I am giving it a couple of weeks to see how the plant growth goes. But judging by literally just the past 3 or 4 days, it's going extraordinarily well. I've really been impressed by it so far. But do keep an eye out for the Habistax review coming out in the next couple of weeks. But for now, that's everything from South America. Moving over continents into Asia, we have our Denizoni Barbs, our golden barbs, which I have talked on a lot in previous videos. We have our Pakistani loach, which are an absolute bestseller here at Pondlife Aquatics. We've got our Asian rummy nose, which are slowly dwindling in numbers. I'm not quite sure if we're going to be restocking them. I personally love these guys, but the last batch we got in were quite skinny and it took us a long time to grow them on. But these have been here for the better part of 6 months and I'm growing quite attached to them. I think if anyone wants to be keeping Asian rummies, they should really go for a planted tank. Underneath them, we have our glass catfish alongside some absolutely beautiful dwarf gourami. And then underneath those guys, we have, out of the quarantine space, our leopard gold Danios. And these guys came in a little bit skinny and we have been fattening them up on some frozen, live and flake food in the past weeks, and they've really turned themselves around. There alongside our assassin snails, which are always an absolute favorite. And then slightly further down, we have some absolutely beautiful Harlequin rasbora in stock, alongside some White Cloud Mountain minnows. And fresh in this week, we have some golden wanders or panchaks, which are just these beautiful top dwelling species. And these guys have come in really fat and healthy. And again, one of those species that I'd be really surprised if they were here at the end of the weekend. Additionally, we have our Pentasona barbs, which have just been doing so well. We did have someone bring in some Rombo barbs that had a tail that had been eaten off, and he's somehow ended up in here. But the Pentasonas are doing so nicely. Additionally, in this section, but further down on the floor, I don't feel like getting on the floor this week, we have our micro gobies, which I've talked a lot on in previous weeks. I'm working on a species spotlight for these guys because they are absolutely fascinating and definitely worthwhile doing an entire video on, but it's quite a complex background to the species. So I'm looking forward to making that. And additionally, we have our Erythromicron Danios, or our Emerald Danios, which again, I'm so happy we have these guys in stock. They are doing a little bit better in terms of skittishness. We thankfully haven't had any issues with settling them in, but hopefully I will be able to really show them off to you guys at some point when they just finally settle themselves down and start to show off those behaviors that I know that they have in them. And then moving down to the end of our aquarium, we have our dedicated barb tanks and goldfish tanks. In terms of new things, this is an absolute accident, and it's something that occasionally happens. It shouldn't, but it does, where you order in a species and you think you're going to get one thing and you're sent something completely different. So we were trying to get in one of the absolute favorite species of everyone here at Pondlife Aquatics, our long fin cherry barbs. Instead, we got sent something that I think is ridiculously cool. These are albino cherry barbs, which I've personally never seen before. And they are just amazing looking. I can't keep my eyes off them. They're one of those species that when you see something new and you've been doing this for as long as I have, it really just makes you a bit giddy. And especially when they are just as poppy and nuts looking as these guys. Obviously, very much a product of human intervention. You're not going to get these guys in the wild. But if I had a cherry barb tank and I wanted something a bit fresh and new and different, I would 100% be keeping some of these albino cherry barbs. They are just stunning with their pink eyes, white bodies, and still have that poppy red in them. Absolutely beautiful. I'm so happy with that mistake. Personally, I love them. I know my dad's not as much of a fan as I am. He doesn't like albino fish. I think these guys are going to do extraordinarily well. In the tanks underneath them, we have our goldfish species alongside some electric blue dace, which underneath the superfish lighting that we have put all in the Asian section now, they are just doing absolutely beautifully. And then moving across to our new Asian section side of things, which I've been doing the mini-series on. I think the next video is probably going to be the final video in that series. I don't think there's much more to say once we've kind of started to bulk this side out. And these tanks are now fully cycled, which means we have started to stock them through. There is still a few tanks which aren't quite ready, and we haven't quite decided on what species we're going to be going for. But this week, we got in an absolute plethora of Bettas, and they are just doing so well. As I have said on the channel previously, if you want a specific type of fish in, please just do let us know. We are more than happy to do our best to try and get them in. And we had a customer of ours ask if we could get in a specific strain of Betta fish, and that is the mustard gas Betta, which is this beautiful blue-bodied and yellow-tailed Betta fish, which I honestly didn't know that's what you called them, because I had a mustard gas Betta years ago who I called Cujo, who, if any of you ever followed me on Twitch back during COVID, it was my entire emoji. I used to do live streams of me servicing tanks and just chilling out, and I've been blown away seeing these guys. It's a bit of a blast from the past. It made me a little bit emotional. So I might end up setting up a better tank in my new flat. But aside from that, we have some absolutely stunning placat females in, which are really doing nicely with some live plant in there. I think adding plant to each of these tanks, whether it's hornwort, polysperma, some Rotala indica, it's really done wonders for just the quality of the fish that we have. All of the Bettas we have in stock are doing so well. Additionally, in this section, we are keeping our Kabutoi Neon Rasbora, alongside what are doing so well in a planted aquarium with good lighting. It does just make such a difference. We have our Galaxy Rasbora, which, again, species spotlight in the works for them. As an Asian species, although we are not keeping them inside this room right now, we have a plethora of different Neo Caridina in stock, and those are your cherry shrimp. We have blues, reds, yellows, and just absolute bestsellers, and it's easy to see why. I've done an entire video on Neo Caridina before, which I will probably update at some point because it's worthwhile updating things as new research and new strains of Neos come out. But for now, that's everything in Asia, and keep an eye out for the new and final Asian range. But I'm really happy with how it's all looking down here. It's a real treat to get to spend time seeing the fruits of your labors begin to pay off and seeing fish as happy as they can be in a store setting. Again, nothing new for Australia this week. However, we have our pseudomoguls, or dwarf rainbow fish, which are just absolutely beautiful. The Gertrudis and Luminatas are really starting to hit that adolescence side of things, where they start to get those beautiful tails and poppy colors. And speaking of popping colors, our Bosmanis are finally hitting adulthood, and you really start to see those yellows coming through. So if you want more adult Bosmani rainbow fish, now's the time to come down to us and pick these guys up. Absolutely blinding price for how long we've had to keep these guys in. And then in the tank below them, one of my favorites, and a favorite of a lot of people at Pondlife Aquatics, we have our peacock gudgeon, which are always an absolute treat to have in. And then for our final section of fish, we have our Rift Lake species, or our Malawi species. And we got in such beautiful fish this week for Lake Malawi. We got sulfur heads, giraffes, numerous different Lake Malawi species in, and they've really settled in beautifully. I've talked about how I personally am not gutsy enough to keep Malawi cichlids. They terrify me. They are bullies, and I just do not know how you can take Malawi's home and just not know whether they're going to kill each other or not. But for those of you who do just have the guts to keep such beautiful species of fish, these Lake Malawis have absolutely blown me away this week, and they are doing so well in this tank. Additionally, underneath them, we're always going to have our smaller shell-dwelling Tanganyikan species, whether that's our gold ocellatus, blue ocellatus, our Lamprologus lupi oranges, or our daffodil Lamprologus. Additionally, we have our Congo Tetras, which are really hitting their full maturity now. And then we've got our Hoplo cats, and then everyone's absolute favourites, which really showed off for the camera this week, Albino and regular dwarf clawed frogs. And for the last few weeks, I would have called it there. I just need to say, to preface this next section, the past few weeks have been absolutely insane here at Pondlife Aquatics in Tropical Fish London. We have had so many new and returning customers that we had a week where we nearly completely sold out of aquatic planting. That's never happened to us before. We had a huge restock of some absolutely beautiful species of plants. It would literally take its own entire video to run down everything that we got in, but we got in some beautiful pieces of wood. Probably the nicest piece of bogwood that I've ever seen. Someone spent a long time growing this out, alongside all of the beautiful potted species you would expect from a fish store, things like Polysperma and even some more interesting species. I'm just so chuffed with how our plant tanks are looking at the moment. I'm so happy that we can get these interesting plants in, that people are coming in and buying and enjoying the things that we are doing here at Pondlife Aquatics. Thank you. Seriously, thank you. It's so gratifying. It means the world to me that people are enjoying the things we're doing here, and thank you. It's all I can say. And it feels weird to then ask you guys one more time. I have a personal goal of reaching the top 40 for independent stores in the UK on the Practical Fish Keepers Readers Poll this year, just because I think we've come so far in terms of the way we're keeping our fish, the quality of our fish, and the quality of our fish room, and expanding our knowledge and helping to educate people in different ways, whether it's through this channel or in person. Or I think we can achieve it, but we can't do it without you guys' help. So right at the top of the description, if you could spend less than 30 seconds just to vote for us, at least for Independent Store. If you think we deserve anything else, I would absolutely just love it. Thank you. In terms of new content, I'm going to be doing an aquascape next week and filming it and hopefully editing it through. The Habistax video is already mid-edit. I think it's going to be something new and interesting to show you guys. I'm working on easy plants and less easy plants, another plant video for the channel. And there's a whole number of other things in the works as well. It's just taking a really long time to make content at the moment, but I will always endeavor to put out at least one video for you guys every single week, because I just love doing it. But for now, that's everything from me here at Pondlife Aquatics and Tropical Fish London, and I hope you'll join me again next time for this pond